Hey, I'm under under a little bit of a late start today, but I'll get started real soon here. Got a few things to do real quick. To Twitch. Oh, for crying out loud, Discord. Boop. No, wrong link, you silly goose. Do. Here we go. Pop that out. Bring it over here. Shrink it down. There's that. And quit out of there. All right. So, hi. It's Wednesday, October 2nd. And my name is Rob. I am that developer dad. And we're building an app. I'll post the short thing here in the chat. And I'll pin this just so that it's available for people to see when they come in. And yeah, so yesterday we got the basic the basic cosmetics, I think, are ironed out. We'll come in here. I got rid of the purple gradient over here. I replaced it with sort of a nice blue one. Over the weekend, I realized, what says Dungeon Master? And to me, being fairly old school, it's graph paper. And so I took the idea of like that pale blue lined graph paper and kind of extended that out to become the palette for the rest of the application. So we've got this. I'm going to sign in. I need to clean this up a little bit at some point. Go in and customize the HTML sign-in template that Azure provides. And we come into NPCs, and it's going to go wake up the database and all that stuff. So what I want to get into today is fixing up the way the drop-down lists and other controls and stuff are rendering, and not only rendering, but in the case of the retired thing, behaving when it comes to building out a new NPC. Because the retired checkbox is buggy, and I don't care for it. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. I do have an interview this afternoon, so I won't be able to stream or do my afternoon session. So I think if I go a little bit long today or a little bit long this morning, then that should hopefully make up for the lost time on that. All right, so we had an unhandled error. The database took long enough to wake up that it decided not to behave itself that time. But if we go into create and we hit show, these are all kind of stretched out across the top, and it doesn't look fantastic. So I'm thinking we need to do a little bit of work in here. Now, the first thing I'd like to try, instead of having this little card pop down and push everything down the screen and all of that stuff, what if we added something to, well, we've got a couple of things that we could do. We could try and do a dialogue, but I think that's going to require a whole lot of just messing with it until it works. And I don't think that's terribly engaging. So what we're going to do today is we're going to style these a little bit better than they have been, or than they became after I ripped out all the Bootstrap stuff. Because when we go to a narrower window, we start to get some overflow, and that's just not great. So we need to figure out, or we need to tweak the way that behaves itself. Now, the source code for this stuff is in the NPC attributes component. Let's bring that guy up. We'll load the razor, and we'll load the razor CSS. And here you can see that we're doing a little bit of overriding on things. Flex direction is column. Options panel, flex direction is row. Justify content center. Okay. So each of these things is theoretically a flex item. Let's take a look at how the options panel is structured. And for that, we go to the razor file itself. And we've got form group, form label, form select. So we've got some classes already defined because we were using Bootstrap for the styling and layout and stuff like that before. So let's go through these things. And I think we'll do I think I'm going to add the CSS classes up here in styles. I've got body, body footer, app host header, app host main, feature host stuff, task host footers, shown, hidden, stuff like that. Okay. I don't think we're going to want to do any styling on form group itself. Let's make sure I grabbed that class name correctly. Yeah, form-group. I don't think we're going to want to put any styling for that, but I'm going to create a class entry in styles CSS for that. Now, we're definitely going to want to be styling form label. So I'm going to grab that guy. Whoops. Don't need that yet. And then we're also going to want form select. See if there's anything else in this form that we're going to be messing with. And here's the last one. So here's form select. Label class, form label. Do we have any kind of class should be form control, although that feels a little funky, but whatever. I think we might want to go to radio button for the is retired thing, but we'll get there. So we've got the classes laid out. Form group, I'm not going to add anything to yet. Or am I? Form group, let's take a look at what's in a form group. And I also want to refresh my page to see if that changed anything. Changing the style to a class. And it doesn't look like it did. Okay. And of course, if we scooch all the way over to the mobile view, we get this. Now, it looks like form group is already rendering as a row. And let's take a look in here. Options panel, flex row. If we're big, or it's column, and then if we're big, it's flex row, options panel, form group, flex one, auto. Now, in the mobile view, and these are overrides here. I don't want to mess with that. But if we make form group into a flex box, just by applying display flex, and if we're mobile first, we are designing for mobile first, our display is going to be, or our flex direction is going to be a column. And that's going to put our labels just on top of the form that they control. So let's take a look and see what that's done for us. I'll hit hot reload a couple of times. And I'll refresh here. That's kind of annoying. I know why that's happening. And that doesn't seem to have done anything for me. I bet I have to do like a full reload of the app. So we'll do that. And while it's recompiling and stuff like that, I want to come in here and make sure form group doesn't have any kind of goofiness attached to it. Doesn't look like it. All right, we'll sign back in. We'll come into the NPCs. Create, show, and it looks as though there's still a line there. And that's okay. I'm wondering if I want to dip into CSS grids here. I'm wondering. Just for alignment purposes and stuff like that. Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. But let's take a quick look at what styles are being applied here. Header, We're in the header, heading, options panel, form group. Let's take a look at that. And we've got this. Task host, feature host, body. Okay, so we're going from most to least. Div.form group. And it looks like this flex is overriding everything. Just for giggles. Take that out. Save that. Hot reload. Refresh. Back into here. Inspect. Here's my form group. And let's take a look at the styles that are happening here. Okay, yeah. Let's do a hard reload. Here we go. That's a little better. That ain't bad. I don't dislike it. Let's see how it looks in this view. Not terrible. But we'll start refining those things. Let's focus first on this because we can always adjust what happens in the full screen view in the media query section down below. So this is good. Let's take a look at form select. And I'm actually going to pull, oh no, I'm not going to pull that one. Let's shrink Visual Studio down a little bit so that we can see this stuff side by side. And I'm going to pull the inspector down just a scooch. All right, so form label right now is probably 1 rem, but I want to shrink that down a little bit. So font size, I'm going to go to 0.9. .75 rem. And that'll be 3/4. That's way too small. My old man eyes are going to be squinting at that. How about 0.9? That's better. I can deal with 0.9 rem. Oh, uncomplicated debility. You need to go. Likely harasser restricted? Oh yeah. Guess what, buddy? I just love these people that come in that, cheap viewers on this link. Yeah, I'm not going to buy viewers. That's weird. Okay, so we've got that sorted. I think, did I define variables for different font weights? I feel like I did. Here we go. Let's go font weight emphasized for those. Font weight var font weight emphasized. That might give us a little bit more mass on those on those labels here. We'll do a hard refresh and see if it did anything for us. Doesn't look like it. Let's try bold. Save. Not bad. Not in love with it, but it's not bad. Align self. Flex start. There we go. I wanted to get that checkbox all the way over here rather than have it like hanging out in the middle because that felt goofy. Now, what are the attributes that we can apply to a drop-down list? Let's take a look at inspect. Overflow, visible, not important. Select. Font style, variant, ligature, yeah. Here's all the stuffs. Text align start, appearance, box sizing, cursor, margin. I think I want to give the drop-down boxes a slight margin around them, just a tiny margin. Let's go to 0.25 rem. Okay. Border style is good. I do want to give it a slight border radius. And again, we're going to go with 0.25 rem. Okay, we're no longer quite as harsh as we were. Now, text indent, font variation, font rendering, word spacing. Don't need to do any of that stuff. Font size, let's okay, so that's a little too chunky. Let's go to 0.9. That's better. Padding, 0.25 rem. Save. We're getting a little better yet. And this actually is live withable. I think that's pretty all right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That looks much, much better now. Now, when we're rolling an NPC up, Do we care about the species and background first, or do we care about the profession first? I think the profession is actually more important. Maybe I'm out of my mind. Only my hairdresser knows. But I'm going to X that. Drop it in there. So we'll go profession first. And then I think the background is the next most important thing. And species is kind of an afterthought. It's a fantasy world. Anybody can do anything. If you want to have a goblin librarian, you can have a goblin librarian. If you want to have an ogre who is a healer in your town, you can have an ogre who's a healer in your town. Now, I might need to do a recompile here. Yeah, because I did alter the structure of the component. I need to recompile. Hot reload works some of the times for scoped CSS. It works pretty consistently for non-scoped or like global CSS. But as far as components that are like buried in the render tree and stuff like that, I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised when it works. So let's show that. So here's profession, background, species. Hide. Now select NPC Options. View NPC Attributes. Options panel. Let's come into the heading and create NPC. The basics. Nah. Create new NPC. Save that. Refresh. Show. Yeah, that's going to need a recompile as well because we're deep into the tree and hot reload is going to be flaky at best. But you know, we'll try it just for laughs. Hey, hon, watch out for Sally. She's out there. Okay. Refresh, create, show, create new NPC. Okay, I like that. So we pick our profession. And retired. This isn't really functioning well right now. Here's our background and our species. Painter, a half-orc painter who's retired. Gnome. All right, let's figure out this. This. way of doing things. So I'm going to pull input type down here. Bind at is retired. Class equals form control. Let's show. Now this is going to break some stuff. Are they retired? Now, instead of the checkbox, I very rarely use raw HTML radio buttons. So I got to refresh my memory on the syntax here. So HTML input type radio. Select one of a number of choices. So ID equals HTML, type radio, name, fave language. Okay. So let's take a peek. What are you doing? Man, W3 Schools adding these intrusive ads has been a major drag. Okay, so there's that. But we're not using pure HTML. Find HTML radio buttons in Blazor. I've never used radio buttons in Blazor. Input radio tag, but this tag doesn't work in Blazor. It shows binding issue. User gender equals gender new male. Okay. Radio buttons that have chosen a simple gender enum value. Choosing the gender example itself. I was not sure. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Value checked, selected value dot equals value. Change equals on change. Okay, so this looks like a custom radio button control thing. I don't think I'm going to need radio buttons all that much. So I'm not going to monkey with it. Let's take a look here. I'm going to pull this off to my other screen here, and I'm not even going to bother trying to keep that live reloading. So I'm going to get rid of this. Boop. Label class. So input type equals radio. Checked equals at, oh, where are we binding? What are we binding to? Select NPC, use metric, NPC notifier. Selected vocation is retired. At is retired equals false. There's that. ID equals is retired. At on change equals at open a function, use a lambda, is retired equals false. Label no. Input type. These are all almost going to be the same. True, true, yes, null, null, IDK, roll for it. Let's see what that did for us, if anything. And I'm not going to leave the IDK roll for it language in there. Or maybe I will. I don't know yet. I have to remember I'm not coding this for a business enterprise audience. I'm coding this for a bunch of nerdy dungeon masters and tabletop role-playing enthusiasts like myself. Are they retired? Right now it says IDK roll for it. Now these are all hideous. I need to change this a little bit so that yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit of styling. So div class equals radio button list. And we're going to wrap that stuff, all three of these guys, in that div. Save. Come out to styles. Well, first I'm going to go back to the Razor, and I'm going to grab this class name because we're going to need it. Form control. Radio button list. First off, display flex. Flex direction. Row. Save that. Do I need to further split these things up? I don't feel like I do. I'm going to need to do a recompile. Sign in. You got to make the sound effects and sing to it a little bit. It makes it go faster. It doesn't really, but it makes me feel better. Create, show. All right, so this is looking pretty all right. Are they retired? No, yes, I don't care, roll for it. There is a thing I want to do in here. And let's shrink that down a little bit. Flex direction. We're going to go with a font size 0.9 rem. Save. Now, I'm assigning font size 0.9 rem pretty universally here. Within these options, and I think I want to use this styling for pretty much any of the forms that we're going to have in here. So I'm wondering if I just apply this at the form group level. Now, my understanding of CSS says yes. My understanding of how CSS behaves in the wild says maybe. So just for giggles, we're going to do some commenting. Anywhere I see stuff specifying that font size. And save all. Hot reload. Okay, our fonts all look fairly nice. So are they retired? I don't know. Roll for it. Let's see if it becomes... Looks pretty random. No, they are not retired. Roll them. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be respecting the choice I've made here. So let's take a look at what's going on. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. So we got to come into Razor CS is retired. And then options panel, on create NPC clicked. Here we go. Now, I am going to go a little longer than an hour this morning because I do need to skip this afternoon's stream due to a conflicting appointment. It is a job interview. So I want to, one of those would be good because I'm doing this for free right now. The product won't be free, but what I'm doing now is free, and that doesn't pay for my health insurance. So I'm going to take 5 minutes to take care of, the needful body things and scratch the monkey that lives on my back very quickly. And then I'm going to come in and we're going to debug what's going on with the with that retired thing down there because it looks like it's not being respected at all. So yes, I'll be back very shortly, 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll pick up and we'll get that knocked out this morning. Please bear with me. Okay, I'm a coming back. Sorry about that. I am a human and I do have biological processes, unfortunately, still. I haven't managed to replace my physical corpus with an android that doesn't have things like the need to go to the bathroom and addictions. So I dealt with that and now I'm back. And now we're going to debug what's going on with this retired selection. And we may have to get all the way up into the actual generator, the townsfolk manager itself. I'm not sure where the bug lives. So let's take a look. So we're going to step into the generate NPC clicked method. And that lives in the create NPC page model, I believe. And I'm actually going to maximize Visual Studio because we're not going to see anything exciting over in the UI. I didn't want to step over that. That was silly. I wanted to step into that. Generate NPC. Let's take a look at my user options. Well, first we'll guard. We'll make sure the services exist. We've got our model. Let's look at these user options. And these are all null. Probably because I did something dumb. So show. Are they retired? No, yes, I don't know. Roll for it. So for some reason, user options isn't getting updated. Let's go to the definition of this. Get private set. This is on the page model. Okay. Excuse me. Now, over in the view NPC attributes, do we have selected vocation, selected background? There's the bug. So on the other drop downs, it's plumbing through to the user options parameter that gets passed in from the page model out here. Because if we look at the create NPC razor, this is on create new clicked, current page state, visibility, NPC notifier, view NPC attributes. Okay, so this is the component that has that setup stuff on it. We're passing the user options into the view NPC attributes component right here. And then for vocation, background, and species, we're setting those values on the user options object. But for retired, we are not, because I had sand in my brain when I was adding that bit of functionality or something like that. I'm not sure. I was probably rushing. Return user options dot is retired. And then in the set, and this explains why the retirement option was not being respected when we pass everything out to the generator. Now, I'm still going to want to step through and make sure that my change is in there, or that the selected value is set appropriately. We're still going to test, but I'm pretty sure that's going to fix the problem. So I'll sign in some more. Go to the NPCs, create, show, and let's say we're making a blacksmith. Let's make a blacksmith. They are not retired. Roll those dice. So while we're here, we can probably actually take a look at the user options object and see that is retired is false, and that we want a blacksmith. So let's step through this stuff. Step into generate NPC. Double check that our user options container is still carrying the values that we want. So is retired is false, vocation is blacksmith. And I'm just going to step over and see what came back to us. So the profession is blacksmith. Generated profession, yeah. Okay, and we'll run. And we have ourselves a blacksmith. Now, our selections should still be set. I don't want a they, them, human. We can deep six the breakpoint there. A halfling, a lady halfling who was a blacksmith. Yeah, that's interesting. Grew up as a sailor. Peculiar. Leora Bramblefoot, she's a halfling. Olive complexion, curly auburn hair, often wears practical soot-stained clothes. Industrious and determined with a warm sense of humor. Profession, skilled blacksmith applying her seafaring strength to her craft. Spent her early years as a sailor, which built her resilience and strength, naturally led her to take up blacksmithing, which is a little odd, but okay. I'm going to save Leora. We'll go back to the list. And she is way down the bottom. Okay. I think I need to make a change to the way we are retrieving and executing this filter. Because as I get more and more NPCs into my list, it's getting to be a bigger and bigger pain in the neck to get to the one that I just created. So let's go to resource access. And we'll go into the NPC access SQL server. And I'm just going to alter the default sort on filter NPCs. Here we go. Payload equals filtered NPCs. We're going to try where, yeah. Now, after we've set up the where, I am going to apply a default sort to bring the most recently created ones to the top. Query equals query dot order by c dot created date. So that is going to sort in chronological order. Oldest ones at the top, Newest one's at the bottom. Order by descending flips that order on its head. Let's run. Excuse me. I'm thinking, like, where'd that cough come from? I went into the public yesterday. I better not have caught COVID again. But then I realized, oh yeah, I haven't taken any of my meds yet today. I'll have to do that in between finishing this up. And here we go. We've got Lyra Bramblefoot, who we just created. Let's create another one just for laughs. And I'm just going to go fully random. Retired innkeeper. Yeah, what the heck. Let's make a dragonborn. Tharos bright scale. Shiny gold scales. Typically wears simple yet well-kept robes. Yeah. Retired innkeeper. Peaceful life guiding others. So on. Save. Back to list, and we should see Tharos right up at the top. Thing of beauty. Thing of beauty. Now, I think I want to make that background a little bit more opaque. Because I don't mind that the gradient is bleeding through, but it feels a little jarring. So let's come into our CSS again. Come into the colors. And where's my task host? Layer lighten. I think layer lighten works well. But copy, paste, layer lighten more. Lame. Task host, layer lighten more. Save. We'll hit hot reload a couple of times. And that's actually much better. It's pulled the. We can still see sort of a hint of that graph paper grid behind things. It's blurred out a little bit. I think we might be able to pull that back. No, the blur is 2px. That's plenty. And if we go any lower than that, it's going to get grody. So we can still see the hint of it, and that gradient is a little less. It's interfering with how that plays out. Okay. We've still got our styles open, right? Let's pull this over here. Down here amongst the form stuff. Button. Shrink this down. I'll take another quick look. Okay, here's that. It looks pretty good here. Do I need to do, before I move on to buttons? I think. I need to grab, is it form group? Yeah. How is it declared over here? Header heading class show options panel is string. Options panel hidden. Form group, yeah. Okay, those are all form groups. Form, no. The robot's trying to look out at the cat in the yard. Hey, I'm over here, silly. I don't want to be altering form group. Instead, this has just texted me. She has to go to the DMV to renew her license. And yeah, yesterday I was there for 2.5 hours doing the same thing. It was not fun. All right, so this is currently centered. And attributes, razor, CSS, options panel. Instead of justify content in the center, can I specify more than one thing? Flex start. That shoved everything over here. When setting the, oh, for crying out loud. When setting the flex direction for a flex box. Oh, wait, it's not flex direction. It's justify content. Content rule for a flex box. Can I specify flex start and space between? Okay, it can only accept one rule at a time. That's fine. I don't necessarily want to have them distributed in the line. what can I use to put a little bit of space between the flex items? I don't want them jammed together, but I also don't want them distributed across the entire width of the space they have. Gap. That's it. That's it. And we're just going to do that in the media override. So here's flex start, gap, 1.5 rem. That'll give us 18 pixels of gap between them, and that is much better balanced. Much better balanced. I like it. That looks good. How do we look when we squish it up? We're good because that rule only applies to wider form factors. That looks a little goofy. That's a little bit goofy. Let's come back to styles, save everything. Form select, radio button list, flex direction row. Radio button. I don't really want to get really sophisticated with this CSS just yet. It's very unlikely that anybody's going to be working at that width. Cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna sweat that. That's not the end of the world at all. If it really bugs me later, I can do something different there. Like I could turn this into a component, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. I might at some point do that, but for now, nah, it's not worth the additional effort and adding yet another component to the system when the only place I'm using it is here. If I need this concept more later, then yes, I'll grab it. All right. I think the next thing I want to do is add a filter capability here. here. Shrink that, create NPC. I need to mess with the NPC list. I may not be able to finish this today. But we'll see. Here's the header, heading, non-player characters, create. No. Nope, changed my mind. I am not going to start chasing that down yet. Instead, button. Font size, 1 rem. Good. Height. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go padding. 0.25 rem. Cool. Now that's 0.25 on top and bottom. 0.5 rem on the sides. Great. Border radius, 0.25 rem. Border, none. That's nice and flat. Create, roll those dice. Okay. Save. Colors. Where's colors? Layer 1, layer darken, color black. Gradient stuff. Thinking. Let's pop open base bars here. Color brand name. Body, feature host, task host, yeah. Button. Background color. Var. Color. Brand. Main. That's a little much. Don't much care for it. Color. Var. Color white. That's all right, but back to list kind of shrinks into the background there, doesn't it? Don't love it. Border 1px solid outline color. It stands out a little bit. A little bit. What if I go to color white? I gotta spell it right, of course. Save. We'll do a hot reload. Oh, out here in styles, I'm overriding it. Save. Okay, so that actually sets it out nicely. And keeps it from being super overwhelming against that gray background. So that ain't bad. I can live with that. See how it looks on a bigger screen. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually fairly friendly. If we make it as big as it can be. Now, I'm still not in love with this footer taking up all this space here. That's a little bit awful. And that's the body footer. So for that, I could have come up with styles. Because for some reason, and I believe it's the task host, it might be the feature host. Let's pull this up a little bit more so we've got some more real estate to play with. So that's the footer. Task host footer. Margin top is auto. Feature host footer is just fully hidden. Yeah, see, it's kind of slid down underneath there, and that's not what I want to see. Here's the feature host. I believe it's using all the space. App host is using all the space except for the footer. So feature host, why are you overlaying or hiding behind that body behind the footer there? App host is good. Plumb in here. There's the sidebar. It goes all the way to the bottom. Feature host. I think you're my culprit. Display flex direction. Height is 100. Padding is 0.5 rem, position is relative. But we need to use that position relative so that we've got the ability to do overlay stuff. Background, we got that linear gradient. Excuse me. Main feature host, main. Now, what's feature host's parent? Would be app host and is on main. So, main centered content. Overflow is hidden. That's feature host main. Here's feature host header. It's got a bunch of stuff in it. Flex start. Height is 100%. Minus. Nope. Didn't want to do that. Auto height 100%. Save. Nope, that didn't do anything for me. Height and width are 100%. I feel like if I pull this out, it's gonna get goofy. Let's see. It looked like it fixed it, but let's see what happens when we pull it back to there. Okay. Do I need to take it out of task host as well? I'm gonna give it a maybe. Oh yeah, no, that jacked it all up. Header, task host main. What if I say, bring that back? What if we say inherit? that went to hell in a handbasket, didn't it? Yeah, I'm going to go back to 100%. Save. And now we have our scroll bar back. That's looking a whole lot better. The border still feels broken. Why? Or the border on the buttons feels broken now. What got goofed? If I bring height back, it's going to re-break my flow. But that's still broken. Border, styles, let's come down to button. Make sure I didn't screw anything up here. No, it doesn't look like it. I feel like I did something very bad. Let's do a hard refresh. Okay, good. That styling's back. Good, good, good. That's all still in the right places. Yeah, you know what? There comes a time when you gotta say good enough. Now, there was something I was going to tinker with. Oh yeah, I was pulling this into a floating div over the top, but that's going to require tinkering. All right, I'm going to get rid of that IDK roll for it thing. View NPC attributes. I don't want to pin that. Let me come down here. Save. There we go. Roll. Roll. I hope that doesn't break anything. I don't think. I'm looking for that. Excuse me. I don't think I'm looking at that stuff. Show. I don't believe I'm looking at the text value that's passed. Let's reload. This will be the last thing I tweak. And then I gotta call it a day so that I can start preparing myself for this interview this afternoon. And Mrs. is texting me and complaining about her experience at the DMV because, of course, their systems aren't working correctly. Like I can do anything about that. Create, show. Let's take a cobbler who's a noble halfling, not retired. All right. Roll, 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 and roll. Roll those dice. And everything's random again. Good. All right. Last thing, that exclamation point right after the cap, or right after the lowercase l, didn't look great. So we're just going to add some space and an extra thingy. I'll reload just to see if it pulls in my text change. I don't expect it to. Yeah. All right. So tomorrow, well, after my interviews and stuff like that, if I've still got any brain left, we're still sneaking down behind that darn thing. Looks better in this view, but it's only slightly improved here. Comment. Okay, we're considerably better here. We'll go back to the list. We lost our scroll bar. Dang blasted. What if I shrink this? Get rid of that. Nope. All right, so that change isn't going to work. I'm just going to have to live with it for now. It fixes one minor problem, but causes a bigger problem that that I cannot live with. So I think we've had a good morning. There's a sleepy kitty right there. Here's our NPCs. Here's our roadmap. I do need to do something with the background on just regular feature pages. Colors, feature host background. Feature host header. Feature host main. Background color var layer lighten more. No, just layer lighten. That's not bad. That's all right. Padding 0 and 0.5 rem on the sides. Good. Padding, 0.25 rem on top and bottom, 0.5 rem on the sides. That's a little better. Border radius, 0.5 rem. That's good. Feature host main. Border radius, 0.5 rem. Save. All right. Let's see what that did to me out here. Not a whole lot. We kind of lost the hint of the grid. But I can live with that. If I come back over to colors and just do layer lighten here. And we pull it back to layer lighten over here. Save. Home. Refresh. It's still pretty good. Let's take a look at roadmap. Not bad. NPCs, we're still looking good. Create. Yeah, we've still got the hint of the grid in the background. View. Yeah, I can live with this. This is all right. This is really all right. Cool. I think that's enough for today. I do need to bounce and get ready for my afternoon activities. And yeah, I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, happy coding. Take care, friends.